This lesson is about data modeling. Don't worry, we won't address the theory of data modeling. We will rather focus on how to do the most common operations regarding modeling and handling data persisted in a database using Service Studio. You already had the chance to experience with some of these features in the hands-on exercises. The goal now is to give you a bigger picture of what's available. You should think of entities as a unifying concept between two worlds. The physical database world, because entities map into physical tables and it's through them that data is persisted, and the applicational world, because entities map into data types, which allows you to build business logic and interfaces around them. Let's take a closer look into each of them. Let's start by reviewing the data modeling core concepts and how they map into the physical database, with some concept mapping between data modeled in Service Studio and the physical database. Entities are tables. Attributes are columns. An identifier attribute is a primary key column, so you should expect them to have the same constraint. They must be unique. An entity reference attribute is a foreign key, so you should expect such behaviors as referential integrity constraints and cascading options. By creating an entity, you define two data types. A record data type, this is a structured data type that represents a data table row, and that you can use when specifying record and record list variables. It also defines an identifier data type that represents the identifier attribute of a data table row. You can use this data type when specifying scalar variables. With these two data types, you can design business logic that expects and knows how to work with this entity and its attributes. Let's move on to Service Studio and watch all of these in action. Let's start by inspecting our existing data model. In the eSpace tree, there's a folder named Entities, where all entities available to your eSpace are displayed. They include entities defined in this eSpace over which you have full control, and external entities. These ones are grayed out and cannot be changed. Although not relevant at this stage, let me tell you that the user entity is a built-in entity that represents a platform user. This entity is present in all eSpaces. You can expand the structure of an entity to inspect its attributes. Entities usually include an identifier attribute that uniquely identifies its row. Its data type is usually an integer marked as auto number. Entities can have a collection of attributes. Amongst other properties, each attribute has its own data type. When a new entity is created, a new identifier type becomes available. If you assign an identifier type to an attribute, the Agile platform knows that you want to create a reference to another entity, and it becomes available as an entity reference attribute, a foreign key. Foreign keys have its own icon and an extra property named delete rule. To know more about the cascading behavior, go to the online help by pressing F1. An entity diagram is available. You can drag the entities you want to display from the eSpace tree into the diagram. First contact, then category. Double-clicking the entity will pop up the Edit Entity tool that allows you to do all the operations and set all properties of an entity. If you're familiar with SQL Server or Oracle, this shouldn't come as a surprise. In the Agile platform, an index provides fast access to the data. You can find all information you need on indexes in the online help. That's pretty much it regarding how to model data. Let's move on to how to manage data. It is possible to interact with the database in two ways. Through queries. The Agile platform offers you two tools to design queries. The simple query, used to select data, offers you a visual interface to build queries without writing SQL, and the Advanced Query, in which you can add your own SQL. To learn more about advanced queries, go to Service Studio's online help. There are also Entity Actions, a set of built-in actions that are automatically added to your eSpace for all available entities. We won't go into the specific behavior of each of these actions, but you should check them out in the online help. Let's see where you can find them in Service Studio. Queries and entity actions are invoked in the context of action flows. So let's open one. The query tools are available on the Tools tree on the left. You can simply drag them into your flow. The entity actions are also available in the Tools tree under the Entity Actions folder. As you can see, you have the set of entity actions available for each of the entities in the eSpace. To use them, you can simply drag them into the flow. During this lesson, we talked about how you should look at entities as a table in the physical database and as data types in your business logic. You then moved to Service Studio and reviewed how to use the eSpace tree to manage entities. You saw how you can use the entity diagram and get an overview of the data model, and how you can add indexes to increase performance. Finally, you learned how to interact with the database using queries and entity actions. Help us improve by rating this webinar. You are then ready to move forward on to the next lesson. Please contact us with questions or feedback to training@outsystems.com. Thank you for watching.